What's going on, guys? As always, it is your host, your best friend, your confidant, and your number one source, Neil Villapiano, and welcome to another edition of the Devil's State of Mind podcast right here on the Hockey Podcast Network. Um, I'm not going to really do a lot of editing or anything with this one. Just going to kind of go off the riff, I guess is the best way to put it, because I come to you on a pretty somber note. Most of you probably already know what ultimately I'm talking about today, but yesterday afternoon on May 28th, 2026, we got some pretty heartbreaking news in the hockey world as former New Jersey Devil, former Conn Smythe Trophy winner with the New Jersey Devils, and also a two-time Stanley Cup champion with the Devils and four-time Stanley Cup champion Claude Lemieux has passed away at the age of 60. And uh yeah, this is pretty shocking. It's pretty shocking because number one, he's still in in a lifespan, he's still fairly young. Um and also just a couple days ago, prior to game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Montreal Canadiens and Carolina Hurricanes, Claude Lemieux was the torchbearer for the Montreal Canadiens prior to that game, letting the team onto the ice. Um, and he was smiling and he was getting the crowd amped up. And so it's pretty crazy to have seen him on national television just a few days ago. And then we get this really really tragic news. And like any of these situations, a lot of people will immediately go and wonder ultimately how this person passed away. Was it an illness? Did he have some sort of a heart attack and it just happened? Like, what ultimately led to this? Well, this is going to be tough to talk about. It's going to be sensitive to a lot of people, so I do apologize up front. And I understand if you don't want to listen to this, if it really is going to uh, overwhelmingly affect you. But I feel that it's in the best interest of everybody for me to talk about it. And I think it's very important to talk about. So this is one of the many news articles that I found. This is from ABC 25 WBPF News, which I think is in Florida, I want to guess. It's actually located in West Palm Beach, Florida, and it reads Claude Lemieux, a former NHL star celebrated for his toughness and hockey skills, died by suicide in Lake Park Thursday morning. Investigators with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office said Lemieux's family became concerned when he did not return home and went to check on him at his furniture store, Andros home. They said that's where Lemieux's son found his father. Lemieux played for multiple teams over the decades from the 1980s to early 2000s and was honored in Montreal on Monday night as the torchbearer for the Canadiens before their playoff game, as I mentioned before. Quote, that's the problem. You don't know what anybody else is going through, end quote, said Eza Allen, a mental health therapist in Palm Beach County. She treats patients who have considered harming themselves. She said it's common to not understand why someone would choose to take their own life. And she goes on to say, quote, that's why when a lot of people, when they do commit suicide, people are like, oh my God, I never knew, Allen said, because they're dealing with so much pain inside and not being able to express that emotion. Allen said while some individuals may show signs of trouble, such as withdrawal or depression, many others do not. She encourages her patients to have one specific contact they can reach out to if they are experiencing suicidal thoughts. She encourages others to be a friend, saying, quote, always check in for support, not condemning them, not telling them what they're doing wrong, not trying to overload them, but just being there as a support system. Allen said, sometimes people just need to talk and get it out. Um, so, yeah, ultimately, that is how Claude Lemieux, um, how his life ended via suicide. And it's a very difficult thing to talk about, but it's such a necessary thing to talk about as well, because as the article reads and as Dr. Allen said, you know, people who have had or have thoughts of harming themselves, of committing suicide, um, they can have signs in a multitude of different ways, and some don't even have signs. And ultimately, many people are going to look, especially in his family and his close friends, are going to look back and constantly say, what could they have done better? And ultimately, there are times where even if you're, there for them and you do everything you can, for some people it just feels too much. It just feels like too much pain to go through. And it's incredibly tragic. It's extremely tragic that this happened. Um, and obviously, we don't know what ultimately led up to Claude Lemieux deciding to take his own life. Um, but that is ultimately what happened. Um, so, this, unfortunately, and to some extent, fortunately, brings up the topic of one's mental health. I've said this before that the one of the best things that came out of the pandemic 6 years ago was how much more people were willing to talk about their own mental health and talk about mental health as a whole. And it made sense considering the fact that we were all stuck at home, really stuck with our own thoughts, a lack of opportunities to go out and socialize. And even for the people who don't socialize as much as others, it still negatively affected them. Um, but ultimately, it gave everybody a chance to really sit and reflect on their own mental health and obviously the mental health of their loved ones and many other people. And there is still a stigma around it, right? Especially for men and especially for professional athletes, that you are supposed to quote unquote suck it up, man up, as they say, and ultimately, play and fight through it, um, and have that quote unquote mental toughness. The reality is that everybody is human. Everybody goes through difficult things in their lives, emotionally, mentally, you name it. And Claude Lemieux came from a time period growing up where it probably wasn't, um, he wasn't free to truly speak on things that negatively affected him mentally and emotionally. And maybe he did get those classic quote unquote pep talks about, you're supposed to man up. You're supposed to, you know, they wouldn't actually say this, but you're supposed to just like hide your emotions and push them down and just push through it. Right. Um, Ultimately, that is incredibly unhealthy. Everybody needs the opportunity to speak to people that make them feel free enough to speak on these emotions and be able to feel comfortable enough to do it. And like Dr. Allen said, to just be able to talk it out, whatever that might be, whatever they might be going through. And I know that there are a lot more people that are pursuing things like therapy, um, and different things like that. I know myself personally, I've been going to therapy. I'm on certain medications to help with my mental health, especially with my anxiety. I have had bouts of depression in my life, and I've had dark periods as well. Fortunately for me, I have a support system where I have friends and family that I feel comfortable enough to talk to about these things and really let it out. And not only have people to just sit there and listen, but also to have people that are willing to give their opinions and give help where it is needed. Not everybody, unfortunately, has that. And not everybody feels comfortable enough, even with their closest loved ones and friends, where they feel that they can do that. And for people who come from a certain generation, they might feel even now in 2026, might feel extremely guilty about expressing their mental health and expressing quote unquote weakness. It doesn't mean that you're weak if you're expressing what you're going through. If anything, it shows how strong of a person you are because it shows how much you've been holding in and fighting, that now you are willing enough to express it and ask for help and ask for that support, right? So, unfortunately for Claude Lemieux, whatever he was dealing with, it became too much. It became too much, and he leaves behind a family and children, and it's a very tragic day, not only in the sports world and in the hockey world, but in the human world as well. Because for every Claude Lemieux, who's much more of a well-known figure, especially if you're a hockey fan, there are hundreds and thousands of other people in this world um, that take their own life this way because of the pain that they're dealing with and the lack of support system that they have. Um, and that's really it's really a tragic thing. But Dr. Allen is absolutely right, and I will say this, I will say this and be as honest as I can humanly be to all of you guys. Please, if you are going through something, speak up, reach out to people that care the most about you, the people that you feel most comfortable talking to, and just express it. And just express it. And going to those people, I would say the people that would be listening, loved ones, family, friends, just listen. Listen with empathy, listen with kindness, listen with support, because you really don't know how much it could positively affect someone. You don't know how much it could truly help them in the long run. That's the big thing to remind ourselves, is that, people say it and it's very true, to be kind to everybody that you see, because you don't know what people are going through. You don't know that a little compliment to some random stranger on the street could ultimately change the entire trajectory of one's life. It really is remarkable what kindness can really do. And we do live in a very tough period of the world right now, with so much going on here in the United States and all over the world. And it goes back to, of more than anything, just being kind goes such a long way. It really does. I work for a nonprofit called Lead You. And we go and do assemblies and workshops in schools all over the state of New Jersey. We've gone to Long Island. We've gone to Canada and Florida as well. And all of these games are based around different topics such as leadership, making smart choices, communication, talking about your coping skills and the things that also your responsibilities and the stress with that and one's mental health. And we even worked with, on collaboration with, the Society for the Prevention of Teen Suicide. And we expressed for so long about these exact kind of topics and how important it is to reach out to your loved ones, to your friends, to people that matter the most to you, to talk about these things, because in many, many situations they will be there to listen. And if you can't find it in your close family and friends, you can always, always, always seek out professional help as well. Because there are therapists out there that are tremendous, tremendous human beings that are able to help you in ways you did not think possible. Because it's so easy for us to allow our emotions to take over and say, this is too much. This is not worth the fight. I can't take this pain anymore. And it's easier to just take my own life, and I don't have to deal with this pain. And while that's true, there's also the pain that many of your family and friends will deal with, losing you, because ultimately you deserve to be here. You deserve to be on this planet. You deserve to live this life. You were put on this planet for a reason, and for good reasons. And everybody has the opportunity to make a positive impact in other people's lives. I get to do that every week with Lead You. I have a shift in about 2.5 hours from now, and I'm going to have the opportunity to hang out with kids as young as kindergarten up to fifth grade today, and I'll have the opportunity to make a positive impact in their young lives and express those things, like, expressing your emotions, talking about, feelings, making smart choices, and just being there for people and sharing that love, sharing that kindness, because it's so, so So important. And all this comes back to, again, it's always important to be there for your loved ones in any way that you can and showing that support because, again, you really, really, really don't know what people are going through. You don't. You don't. And it's it's always really hard when ultimately we have a situation like this where someone takes their lives because of dealing with the struggles of their own mental health and everything that is going on in their lives. And it's important to take time to talk to people and check in on them because even checking on them a couple of times goes such a long way for them. They can say, wow, I have people in this life that truly love and care about me and want me to be okay no matter what I'm going through. And that's so, so freaking important. And that's what I would say to everybody here, that this is a lesson that we have to learn, that it is so important to check on your friends and family because you really, really, really never know what they're going through. And one thing I'm going to share that I'm sure many people on different platforms have ultimately shared as well is the 988 Lifeline, which is very important. Um, it is the suicide and crisis line, and they are available 24/7 when you're facing mental health problems, emotional distress, alcohol or drug use concerns, or if you just need someone to talk to. There's so many people out there. There's so many different ways that that you can reach out to people and they can listen to you. You can call them, you can text them, you can chat. They even have help for people with deaf and HOH issues as well. This goes such a long way, and it's so important. It's 24/7, 365 days a year, guys. I'm telling you, they are there all the time. I have used 988. Before I really started seeking therapy consistently, I used 988. I dealt with incredible battles of depression when I was in high school, dealing with a lot of bullying and a lot of lack of self worth and self confidence. And while I never had the thoughts of taking my own life, thank goodness, I was still struggling and feeling so alone and lost, even being at home. And I reached out to 988 on my own and I spoke with somebody and it helped me so much. It gave me the confidence to express to my parents of what I was struggling with. And ultimately they were able to be there for me and to help me. And I have friends all over that support me and are there for me and I'm there for them and I'm there for them and if I haven't and if I haven't told them enough and if I haven't told you guys enough, I love you all so so freaking much. I really do. No matter who you are and who's listening to this episode or watching it, I love you so much and I'm so happy that you are here on this planet and that you've been able to come into my life and that I've been able to come into yours because continuing to spread that positivity and showing that love and support goes such a long way. And so that's how I wanted to kind of preface this episode. I wanted to make it fairly short. Um, and I hope I, you know, put out all of the points that I really wanted to make. Um, and it's important again, as always, to check in on your family and friends because you do not, and also coworkers as well, and anybody, because you truly don't know what they're going through. And even if you're just there to listen, it can go such a long way in saving so many lives from people deciding to take their own. So that's what I wanted this episode to be about. No ad reads, no nothing, literally no nothing, no editing, nothing. I just wanted to get it out there. And I'm going to end by saying rest in peace to Claude Pepe, which was his nickname, Pepe Lemieux. Died at the age of 60 as he committed suicide in his family business in Florida. And he is he is remembered by his family, his friends, and many, many people in the hockey world. And here with the New Jersey Devils, we send all of our condolences to the Lemieux family during this extremely, extremely, extremely difficult time. So just wanted to say that. And I like finishing by saying this: rest in peace, Claude Lemieux. You will never, ever, ever be forgotten. And remember, Devils fans and all people out there, make sure to be there for others. Love them as you want to be loved and check in on them because you never know what they could be going through. And you are loved and you deserve to be here. And I'm very, very happy that you are here.